Part 1. Action with attachment. Most people in this world are suffering because they have not yet achieved what they long for. They spend their days chasing dreams and desires, believing that fulfillment lies just around the corner. But there is a deeper suffering that is rarely talked about. It is the suffering of those who have achieved what they once thought would complete them, only to discover an emptiness within, a strange silence where joy was supposed to be. They reached the summit, but the view did not heal them. Their victory did not free them. Instead, it left them with questions heavier than before. Have you ever poured your heart into something, a dream, a job, a relationship, hoping it would bring you peace, only to arrive at the destination and feel strangely empty? You thought success would taste sweet. Instead, it just made you tired. This is not rare. It is the modern human condition. Most of us live in what Vedanta calls sakama karma, action driven by desire, by expectation of a return. We act not because the act itself matters, but because we are hoping it will give us something: recognition, love, wealth, even peace. Sakama karma means action done with kama, with desire. It is motivated action, done for a purpose, to attain something. This form of karma may provide short-term pleasure or success, but it keeps the doer trapped in a cycle, a feedback loop of expectation and dissatisfaction. As long as the motive is personal gain, the action carries with it the seed of bondage. Even when success is achieved, the joy is short-lived and another desire arises, keeping the mind restless and the soul unfulfilled. Sakama karma cannot lead to freedom. It is rooted in incompletion and therefore can only produce more incompletion. This feedback loop is powered by samskaras, the latent impressions left behind by past actions, desires, and emotional experiences. These samskaras accumulate in our mental and emotional layers, pushing us into repetitive cycles of craving and aversion. Each act born out of selfish desire strengthens the tendency to act again from the same motive. Thus, even when we feel like we are choosing freely, often it is just our conditioning, our samskaras, choosing for us. Without examining this, karma becomes mechanical, and we become puppets moved by unseen impressions. This is the great irony. Even when we do get what we wanted, the soul still aches. It is like climbing a mountain and realizing that the view from the top is not what you imagined, or worse, that there is yet another summit beyond. The restlessness does not end with results because results never satisfy the root hunger. The root hunger is not for outcomes but for freedom from the false self, from anxiety, from incompletion. The world today is deeply unbalanced because most people, including those in positions of power, are submitting to sakama karma. Leaders pursue policies not for collective well-being but for personal gain, ideological dominance, or short-term political victories. Their actions are motivated by desire, not clarity. But the problem does not end with them. The general population also acts largely from the same root: money, fame, status, and comfort. Even those inclined toward truth often take a neutral stance, which unconsciously supports the machinery of desire-driven action. This is why the world is increasingly dominated by forces that destroy rather than nurture, divide rather than unite. We are not just facing political or economic crises. We are witnessing a karmic imbalance at the deepest level. When sakama karma prevails, it breeds separation from nature, from one another, and from the self. The results are visible everywhere: deforestation, global warming, soil depletion, extinction of species, rising anxiety, and social fragmentation. Vedanta and the Gita do not ask us to renounce the world but to reclaim it through niskama karma, a selfless participation in the rhythm of the whole. If this shift does not happen, not only will our inner lives continue to decay, but the conditions of our next generation will be gravely endangered. The fate of humanity depends not on the wars we fight or the technologies we invent, but by promoting selfless karmas over the selfish ones. By rejecting all that is born of sakama tendencies, like harmful contents, books that merely promotes romanticism and emotional drama, movies without soul, idols, celebrities and influencers, who work from an ignorant and selfish center, we can bring karma yoga into the action, into our practical lives. Part 2. The path of niskama karma. This is where niskama karma, action without selfish desire, enters. This is the essence of karma yoga. Niskama karma is not done for reward. It arises naturally, like the fragrance of a flower flowing into the air when it blooms. It is an action that feels effortless even when it requires effort. The body may be exhausted, but the mind remains calm. One may be ready to suffer to any extent but without drowning in existential anxiety, because the action is born from clarity. Niskama means without kama, without attachment or craving. It is the flowering of an inward stillness. It is an action not tainted by the hope of return, not rooted in the illusion of lack. It is action born from fullness. Sakama karma is the child of lack. Niskama karma is the gift of wholeness. Sakama karma binds you to time. Niskama karma is born of eternity. Acharya Prashant reminds us that niskama karma does not produce results in time. The result is not separate from the act. Like Jiddu Krishnamurti said, the first step is the last step. The moment you choose to act without selfish desire, you are free. Liberation is not the outcome of niskama karma. The very capacity to perform niskama karma arises from a liberated consciousness. It is not a tool to become free. It is what a free being naturally does. Ramana Maharshi pointed out that the idea of doership is the root of bondage. The sense that I am the one doing creates the illusion of control and the burden of result. He asked his disciples, "Who is this I that claims to act?" Upon self-inquiry, this doer dissolves into silence. The body acts. The world moves. But the self remains untouched. To know that is freedom. Samskaras play a crucial role here. When one acts from the ego, the doer reinforces samskaras. These latent tendencies keep pushing the mind into the same grooves. But in niskama karma, there is no reinforcement. The act is complete in itself. It leaves no residue. Over time, such selfless actions burn away old impressions. Karma yoga, then, is not merely about outer action. It is about inner purification, the gradual silencing of compulsive patterns. It is freedom not only from outcomes, but from the very self that seeks outcomes. This is where karma yoga enters, not as an escape from life but as a return to it. Karma yoga says, work without attachment. Not because it is a rule or moral command, but because when the craving drops, your presence returns. When you stop acting to gain, you start acting from clarity. The work becomes the reward. The doing becomes the joy. You are no longer waiting for something to happen. You are awake in what is happening. Part 3. The resolution. Karma is freedom. Karma in this way becomes a mirror, not a prison. This is the shift from bondage to liberation. The moment one begins to live from within, from attention and surrender, karma begins to dissolve. Let us now turn to a profound insight by George Gurdjieff. He once said that human beings almost never truly communicate with each other. What we usually do, he said, is fight for the same meaning using different words. We are not arguing because we disagree. We are arguing because we agree too closely but have different languages. The conflict arises not from essence, but from interpretation. We confuse symbols for truth, forms for the formless. We rarely question where our action is coming from. Most of the time it is not our real self but the false ego operating on behalf of samskaras. What we call communication is often just the clash of mechanical impulses fighting for dominance. This is not communication. It is conflict under disguise. We quarrel over religious terms, spiritual doctrines, cultural identities, yet beneath our disagreements is one and the same longing. One reality, one consciousness. It is the name that blinds us, just as nations, religions, ideologies blind us from our shared being. And as long as our actions come from these fragmented identities, they will contribute to the fragmentation of the world. So what does karma yoga mean in practical life? It means living the Vedanta spirit in action, not just in renunciation. It is not about withdrawing from the world but about working in the world without being owned by it. It is living in the marketplace without selling your soul. The secret of success lies not in accumulation but in offering. Just like the river that pours into the ocean not to change the ocean but to remain fresh, so must we act not to reform the world but to remain pure. The miserly pond that holds its water soon becomes stagnant. The river that gives remains ever renewed. Serve not with the hope of changing others. Serve to cleanse yourself. The world may not become better because of your work, but you will. Your intentions will purify. Your awareness will sharpen. Your surrender will deepen. True karma yoga has no fear and no ambition. It is not strategic or calculating. It is not spiritual ambition in disguise. It is action in freedom, in clarity, in love. Like the painter who gathers from every face a nose from one, a chin from another, and then creates a masterpiece not for pride but from spontaneous overflow, so the true karma yogi gathers life experience without clinging to any and then acts without ownership. There is no self-consciousness, only action, impersonal, pure. May your life be the song the universe sings when the singer is gone.